Hey, this is another episode of the Author Spotlight. I'm so excited to be with you today for another wonderful episode. I got my main man, Jake Kelfer, in the building today. Before I let Jake come in and do his thing, Jake Kelfer is the best-selling author of Elevate Beyond, a lifestyle entrepreneur. He is the founder of the Professional Basketball Combine, which features NBA draft prospects in a secondary draft combine. As a high energy, inspirational speaker, he is on a mission to elevate and motivate millions of people to achieve their definition of success. He and his work have been featured on Forbes, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBC Sports, USA Today, Bleacher Report, and many other media outlets. Connect with Jake on social media at Jake Kelfer or visit him at jakekelfer.com. Hey, I shared a little bit about your bio. I know we just had a limited amount of time to be able to have you on the show today. I know we could go on and on with that, but Jake, welcome to the show, and fill in any of the gaps, if you don't mind, of something I might have left out of the bio.
Yeah, well, Darren, that was a great job. That was a great job. But I'm really excited to be out here and chat with you today. I love talking and inspiring some audiences. So, the bio says most of it. To kind of fill in the gaps is I went to the University of Southern California as my undergraduate. So for me, building relationships with people growing up as well as at the University of Southern California was huge for me, and that's kind of been a big stepping stone for my career. When I graduated, I worked for the Los Angeles Lakers, and then the book came and everything else that you just mentioned. So it's been a great journey, but we're just getting started. And like I said, happy to be here.
Also, that's what I'm talking about, man. So you're down with the Trojans then, huh?
Oh yeah, fight on until I die.
That's what I'm talking about, my man. And speaking of that, Jake, if you don't mind, share with us a little bit. With your background at USC, the whole nine, what had you write the first book, Elevate Beyond? What made you give us kind of the behind the scenes thoughts of what made you go forward with this particular book as your first book?
Right. So, to be perfectly honest with you, when I wrote my first book, I didn't even think about writing a book when I started writing the book, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is when I was in college, I worked my butt off to network, to get jobs, internships, to meet people, to do well in my interview, to go to my resume. Like I was the kid that always tried to be better. And then when I got the information, I would share that with people. Well, by the time I graduated college, like I said, I secured a job to work with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I was like, hold the phone here. My brother's a freshman now, following in my footsteps. I got to share my knowledge with him and all of his friends. So I just set out, I was like, I just graduated college. I'm working for the Lakers. Let me write some blog posts for my brother and a younger college demographic and young professional demographic, people who were in my shoes or had gone through what I was going through. And the blog post turned into an ebook, because I was like, that would be pretty cool to have an ebook. And then I meet with a mentor of mine who actually teaches at my crosstown rivals at UCLA. And we meet, and he tells me, he says, Jake, you got some good stuff here. This needs to be a real book. I said, well, what do you mean you want me to write a real book? I just turned 23. How can I write a book? And he goes, Jake, age doesn't matter here. You have good content. Put a couple more interviews around it, add some sexiness to it, add a couple other things, and boom, you're going to have your first book. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And that was the start of Elevate Beyond. And, it was made with the intention of helping people figure out their path and who they were meant to be.
Wow. I got to take a pause for the cause right there. Hey, my man Jake is dropping those value bombs on us, and I just have to make you think. I just want to go back to age isn't nothing but a number, or ain't nothing but a number where I come from in Texas. So I want you to make sure that you understand that. The great psalmist Aaliyah said it before her passing away, RIP, the age ain't nothing but a number. But that's something that the mentor shared with Jake. And for those who are listening to this episode, where in your life are you allowing for your age or your gender or your sexual orientation or your ethnic background to get in the way for you going and doing something that could be phenomenal, it could be extraordinary? And it also is sharing by me listening to what Jake has just poured out to us of the importance of having those around you who see the value in you before you see the value in you, who see the promise in you and can say, hey, wait a minute, you have something there. That's the importance of your network right there. Your network is your net worth. I mean, it's not a cliche. It's not just a saying, but he was able to have someone around him who made him tap into something more than what he saw. And so for those of you who are out there, make sure that you don't just take what Mr. Kelfer is saying and like, oh, well, you know, he was just at USC and that just randomly happened. No, that happened with him, but he also took the advice and moved on the advice. Now, I know we don't want to talk about this a lot, but sometimes you have, not sometimes, you have to take action. You have to take action. So Jake is going to share more about his story here, but I just wanted to do, so Jake, do you agree with some of the stuff that I'm sharing right there about the importance of who you're surrounded around, and also you taking heed and following that advice instead of saying, oh, this guy don't know what he's talking about, I'm just going to worry about laying around on the beach with blondes and smoking something? No, you actually went and did something. Could you share that with the audience, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm just like over here just nodding my head like, yep, Darren's got it. He's got it going on, right? No, but like, look, here's one thing too that I've learned is like age is nothing but a number until you define that, right? So for me in my process, you know, we always hear this thought, an idea that knowledge is power. Well, knowledge is the vessel to power. And once you take the knowledge and you implement it and you take action, which I'm going to get to in a second, that's when you really can become powerful and create change. And for me, that's what it was about, was to create the change with the knowledge that I had learned. Because if I was the only one with it, that didn't do anybody any good except for me. But I wanted to share that message, which is how I was able to turn it into the book. So that's one thing. But then let's dive a little deeper. We want to talk about taking action. Listen to this. Me and my dad's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. And we always have these great talks after we watch Shark Tank, right? We're so motivated. We're like, let's go. Like, I can't wait to get in front of Mark Cuban. Now we're talking and we're trying to talk about my life and what's next and how can I grow and reach all these goals. And my dad says, Jake, let me tell you something. The only shortcut in life is to start now. And that goes to talking about action. And that is just so much value in there because it's so true. If we think about what we want to do, if we think that we have an idea of something, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless we start now. Because I could say I want to write a book. That's great. But until I start taking action, I'm never going to see a finished product. So the only shortcut in life to start now.
Man, right now, you heard the song. I mean, you know, Jake is hitting us in the head with some of this good content here. And I just want, when I think about this, Jake, it just going back to it, even though he shared the advice with you, what made you believe that you could even write a book when so many had failed at the task? Because I know age came and crept into your mind. And there's others who I know who have wonderful blogs, Jake. I mean, I'm looking at the blogs and it's amazing with the content, but some of them can't get over the hump, or they choose not to get over the hump and actually put it into a publication or put it into an actual physical book form. So what allowed for you to get over the hump and say, you know what, I'm going to actually move on these blog posts and come together and actually put it in a real book form? What made you get over the hump and believe that you could do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I want to make it clear that I self-published my book, which puts me at a huge advantage here. In what I'm about to say is I had no idea what I was doing. But I think that was an incredible opportunity because most of us here get stuck because we don't know what to do next. Or we're like, you know what? I don't know how to get a publisher. I don't want to get rejected 100 times. I don't know how long to make it. I don't know how to get it edited. I don't know how to make a book cover. All these things. I had every one of those questions and thoughts because I was like, I don't know anything. I just wrote some nonsense on a piece of paper that might help people. And what I had to figure out was like, look, just because I don't have all the answers doesn't mean I can't just create something. And so basically what I did is I wrote the book the way I wanted to write it. I added the things I wanted to write. I looked at all my favorite authors, John Gordon, Lewis Howes, Gary Vaynerchuk. I took all these experts, the best in the world at what they do. And I said, what did they do? Let me pick the things I like most about their books and let me try to create that. And then I used different independent contractors. I used my friend for my design. Like, she did an incredible job. So like all these things kind of just put in together. I did my research and I used Amazon's CreateSpace self-publishing platform and put it out. When you look at my book, I have bigger font than most other books. Now, I had no idea when I first wrote the book that my font was going to be bigger until I got it. But I said, you know what? This is cool. And the amount of comments I've gotten because I just went for it was awesome. So like, a lot of times we get stuck because we don't have an idea of where to go next. But I think the first step is to just start doing it and figure it out as we go. And that's what I did, and it turned out okay. And I'm always learning. So I think that's another important takeaway from that as well.
Man, I love this. I love this, Jake. So many that I run into, Jake, and those out there who listening, is this: do not have paralysis of analysis. Stop trying to figure out how the story ends. Sometimes you have to jump out the plane and build it as you're falling down. This is what Jake is sharing with us. So many times he didn't have it all figured out, people. So I know you heard the bio. Now you say, wow, man, this guy's successful. He got it going on. He's just doing all these great, wonderful things. He didn't know all of this at first, people. He had to go forward and get the experience by putting his neck out there. He had to take it one step at a time, and he studied. He put in his time and prepared himself. And guess what? He luckily, so to speak, it's amazing what happened when you start taking action, and then you become luckier by taking action. And then he started finding the pieces to the puzzle that allow for him to put the thing into completion and make a complete puzzle. And so for those of you out there who are thinking about writing a book right now, just start. It might be a blog post. It might be a paragraph or a sentence at first. Whatever it may be, you might take some of the content that you've been writing on Facebook or something, or whatever social media platform that you like, and you might take some of that content and then put it together and see what you might have. But the resources will come to you when you start moving forward. And, and when I think about that, Jake, it's quite a bit that you're doing. I mean, you're very entrepreneurial. You shared the same thing like with your dad, and his influence on your life as well. But when I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about this particular book and what you did with it, after that, how did it, this first book right now, how did it change your life with this first book? Did you see did you reach the goal of helping people like your little brother and others? Or did you see other opportunities where you might be able to share or be on podcasts like these? What are some of the benefits that you experienced with the first book?
Well, writing the book was, first of all, just an incredible accomplishment. And I took a second after I wrote it. I didn't have a 5-year plan with the book. I didn't have, what did I want this to become other than this vessel for sharing, right? But when I wrote the book, the first thing I did was I took a second to just appreciate it, because a lot of times we don't think about celebrating the small wins. And for me, even though writing a book was a big win for me, it was like, okay, this is awesome. I just did this amazing thing that's going to help people, and I completed a task. And for me, that was something awesome. So I enjoyed that. Now, once I was done with that, for me, it was like, okay, well, what's next? And originally, I was going to be a sports agent. So I was going to just drop the book. I was going to go back to the basketball world, and that was going to be my life. But then I had people saying, hold the phone, Jake. You can't write a best-selling book and just stop. You got to get this out there. And again, it goes back to, why did I write the book? And they said, Jake, you should start public speaking. So I said, I'm a public speaker, right? I love speaking. So now I'm reaching out and I'm starting the whole career of how do I public speak? What can I do with the book? And this has just led into everything that I've been doing. So the book, just by writing it, has opened all these doors for people to connect with, travel across the world, have people come up to me in different parts of America when I'm on tour saying, hey, Jake, I read your book. It changed my life. I'm like, you are awesome. I love you. Let's hang out, right? Let's grab a beer. Let's grab a drink. If they're underage and we're not drinking, underage or whatever, right? So the point is, though, writing the book opened up so many doors leading to me public speaking, which has now led me to going on tour, which has now led for a second book, which has led just this awesome opportunity to continue to elevate myself and others.
You know what, Jake? That's the importance of taking these steps. And I like to call it the beget system. And it's dealing with the genealogy. I'm not getting religious over here, but the genealogy of when you see Jesus Christ in the Bible. And I say that because that's what it reminds me of, that one door opens to another. But if you don't take the advice, or if you don't write the blog post, then you never get feedback on that you need to put in the book. And if you don't take that, it wasn't just a one big, you scratched off and hit a lotto win. It's the consistency that you had, and were able to persevere and able to think like, hey, let me act upon this. If someone shared it, let me act upon it. And for those who are tuned in, I want to share that with you all. Once again, it's about environment. Somebody imparted some wisdom into him, and he took it and he ran with it. He didn't fight them. He said, you know what? I'm a speaker now. Some of us would have said, no, I can't be a speaker right now. You don't understand my story. I don't have an education like that. I don't have a doctorate degree. Well, I didn't go to Yale or Harvard yet. So I need to accomplish, and I'm seeing people do the same thing, Jake, in the book process, whether it's public speaking or being an author. They feel like, oh, I haven't accomplished everything yet. Maybe, I don't know, what's this myth that's in their head. I guess it's the same place where the abominable snowman and the Loch Ness monster is hid, but they come to the senses of saying, well, when I get to this age, and we go back to age again, or when I accomplish everything that I want to do in life, I want to do the book. But I'm here to share with you, my friend. Look, Jake did the book, and it was a catalyst to open up to other doors. So now his legacy is different because the book allowed for him to be open up to create other things to be able to impact people all around the world, basically. And so, Jake, especially you brought up a little bit about another book. So as we go into the next book, could you share with us, what are some hacks? How do you create content with the busy schedule that you have? You're on tour. I mean, you're running businesses, you're doing all, and you got a personal life, so share with us, how do you create content, Jake? What works best for you?
And that's a wonderful question, Darren, because I'm still figuring it out, right? and it's funny because, this book I had in my mind. I knew once the first one came out and I started to build some traction, I was like, you know what? I got to be the elevate guy. Like anytime someone thinks the word elevate, I want to be the first thing that comes to their mind, right? And so I was like, okay, well, what's next? And the one thing that has remained consistent with me throughout everything, and I brought this up actually in the beginning, is relationships. I'm a firm believer that in life, people are the reason for our success and our happiness, both in relationship, like financial relationships, both in career relationships, both in love relationships and everything. So I was like, you know what? I spent a lot of time building relationships. I've been able to connect with some incredible people. My next book's got to be about elevate your network. So what I sat down was, I was like, okay, well, what do I know about relationships? And I just started brain dumping. And as I was brain dumping, I was like, you know what? There's a lot of great points here. And I don't think this is meant for a, regular, like a story. I think this is meant for a, pick and choose what you need to learn and when you want to learn it. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I got about 20 to 30 ideas here. Let's go with 25. And 25 happens to be a significant number for me because one of my best friends who had cancer was number 25 playing basketball with us. So there's 25 Kelf keys. Now, everything that I do is called a Kelf key. My last name is Kelfer. I call it a Kelf key. It's like a tip, right? So now I'm like, okay, 25 Kelf keys. 25 Kelf keys to what? Well, it's all about building relationships in life and business. Boom. There's my tagline. And one thing led to the next. And I just started writing out these different keys and editing them and figuring out, okay, this one follows this one. This is the best order. And then I asked my network, right? I asked my relationships, hey, what do you guys think of this? Yes, no. And they're like, Jake, that one sucks. That you got to get that out of there, right? Or they're like, Jake, I love that one. Keep it in there. And then I try to just share stories because at the end of the day, if someone's going to pick up a book, we want to be entertained and we want to get value. And that's what I try to do with everything that I write.
This is good, man. I love this. I love this interview. And he's continued to evolve. He's continued to learn. He's continuing to grow. And for everyone who's listening, including me as well, and Jake is, just shared his story about this. We never figured it all out, people. You heard Jake. He was honest. He was transparent. He didn't come to you and like, hey, I know everything about this. He's like, hey, I'm still figuring it out. For those of you out there who are paying attention to this, it's okay not to know it all. I know we live in a day and age, especially with some of the entrepreneurs that we're seeing, whether it's on social media or whatnot, and everybody's a guru and everybody has every lesson down. They're the Mr. Miyagi of sales or, network marketing or everything. They know it all, and they're just 20 years old. But, we understand that. But it's okay not to know everything. But continuing to learn, continue to sit under others, continue to see what's my sweet spot. Yes, I tried this the last time. Yeah, that was beneficial. Okay, but I've learned a few other things as well. let me try this hack. It might be getting up early. It might be, let me record myself if I'm on a flight or something so I can transcribe it later on. It might be, doing it a little bit later on in the day or after I take a nap and I got fresh ideas. You have to find what works for you. And that's what Jake is doing. And so, Jake, with the entrepreneurship, with the books that you're doing, man, if you don't mind, just share with us what's next for Jake Kelfer.
What's next? Well, in the short term, I'm actually headed to China for my first big international speaking event, which is really exciting for me to get out to China. I've been trying to learn some Chinese so I can connect with the culture out there. But after that, it's getting ready for the book launch of my second book, which will be out this October. And then it's really to continue building my combine and to increase the speaking and really just create more growth and elevation in my life and everyone that I encounter. But that's kind of what's next, and really focusing on, self-awareness and understanding that this is a process. I may think I know what I'm doing right now, but I'm constantly learning. There are people out there that have so much more experience and success in their eyes. So, I'm really trying to just learn, soak, grow, and be the best that I can be. And that's kind of what's next for me.
Awesome, Jake, man. Wonderful interview. And just on the entrepreneurial tip, you brought up about the basketball and all of that. So we can tell by you still doing the combine that you didn't forsake basketball altogether. If you didn't mind, could you just share for those who might be interested or know someone, could you share a little bit about that particular part of your business, the combine piece?
So professional basketball combine, basically what it is it was my way of getting back into the basketball game, right? I had taken the book, I had started speaking, and I was like, you know what though, there's got to be some way I can get back into sports. And that became the way. And so what this event is it's a combine, or basically a tryout or a pro day for 24 draft prospects to come and play in front of NBA personnel, scouts, and executives and get evaluated. And then we have an interview component. We have all this great opportunity for these players, but it was just another way for me to combine this message, which is my overarching message, and everything that I do is helping people elevate their definition of success. And that's what the combine's all about. And we just finished year 2, and, we're looking to grow that and have some more fun with that. So that keeps me, having fun, combining all the worlds that I live in. And that's what it's all about.
Now, this is creativity at its finest, people. He's finding the things that he's loved, and he's finding a way also to be able to be of service. And can you hear the common denominator in everything that Jake's saying? He's constantly pouring and adding value to others. But at the same time, he's not with this esoteric speech that he can't do something for himself as well. I love the message that Jake is sharing with us because he's finding a way to help others and also fulfill his full potential. At the same time, finding ways to be compensated so he can continue to grow his mission and touch more lives around the world. So that's what it's all about. Jake showed us that we can do it. He didn't have everything figured out. It still can change by tomorrow if need be, but he's continuing to move forward, and he's bringing in all these things into his vortex, what he values and what he sees as important, but he's not losing himself. And so those who are telling you this stuff that, well, if you do this, you can't do that. If you do this, you can't do that. Hey, Jake has found a way to put it all together. Now, of course, he has to juggle some things. Of course, he's still figuring stuff out. But man, what a heck of a ride that Jake is having, because he chose to listen, he chose to follow, he chose to show love, he chose to encourage and empower people, and he's living his full potential. Man, Jake, man, I thank you so much, man, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, it was great to be on here, Darren. You have some great questions, so hopefully the audience really enjoys it. Anyone that's listening, if it's all right, I'd love to throw a little giveaway for the audience.
Definitely.
But anyone that's listening, and obviously depending on when you hear this, but if you go to jakekelfer.com, which is my website, you can get 5 free chapters of the upcoming book. So 5 Kelf keys, as I like to call them, for Elevate Your Network. So I appreciate you bringing me on. I appreciate your audience taking the time to listen to us, and I appreciate being here.
Awesome. Now, Jake, you shared a little bit about that. Is it any way that you can share anything else about other whether it's booking you to speak, because we have people who are listening who do that kind of stuff as well, with someone who might be interested in the combine, or just say you might just want to connect with you on social media. Could you share any of that information before we get off as well?
Absolutely. If you guys are interested in connecting with me in any way, feel free to follow me on social media at Jake Kelfer, JakeKelfer. And you can also visit my website at jakekelfer.com. But would love to connect with you guys. Any questions, from the smallest questions to the largest questions, I'm here to help you elevate. Let's go.
Awesome. And Jake, important piece of advice for that person out there saying, you know what, man, I don't know what to do. I'm just getting out, or I'm starting back over. Seeing this amazing things that Jake's doing. I want to operate, but it's like I can't really find my purpose. I want to write my story or share something in the book form, but I don't know if I have the credentials. I didn't go to USC like Jake. Could you share with them the importance of why they should share their story or move upon whatever dream that they may have?
I think, and this is a great way to kind of end the conversation too, is I would say that, look, no journey is the same. No two paths are the same. Even if you're going to the same destination, your path to get there is going to be different. Yet there's no one destination for any person out here on earth. And so what I try to instill in people, and I always think about daily for myself, is create your own journey. Create a journey worth living and a story worth telling. You are the hero of your own story. So if you pick up that pen, you just start writing. The rest will fall into place. But take action. Don't compare yourself to others, and believe in the process and the journey, and enjoy everything life brings you.
Woo! Jake, drop the mic, Jake. Jake done dropped the mic. Drop the mic. There it is. My boy Jake done came in here and hit us with a power punch to take us off the show, man. I'm excited about it, Jake. Man, my brother, we definitely got to hook up. I got to connect with you off the air as well. I love what you're doing, man. I'm excited about everything that you have going on, man. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. But thank you so much for coming on the show once again.
Sounds great.
Awesome, man. And for those of you who tuned in, hey, you are the change agent. You are the thought leaders. You are the planet shakers. I want to see you across from me, just like Jake Kelfer is today. And remember that this is the year for your new book, and also be the change that you want to be. All right. I'll talk to you later. Be blessed.